Welcome back, everyone. First things first, I've changed our Luminar loadout from the previous episode. For our rigs, we have heatsink, hard light shields, Hadron nanobots, and parallel circuits. For our subsystems, we have an energy booster and light shield repairer. These changes were made at the suggestion of viewers from the last episode, especially Powder, who gave a detailed explanation of the loadout and how it functions. Eager to get a feel for our new loadout, I scanned down the system and got to work. I could definitely feel the change in how my ship handled in combat. The heatsink itself was making a massive difference in our overall damage output. When I landed at Planet 7, I realized this drone presence alert was a Tier 3 drone fleet, instead of the usual Tier 1 or Tier 2 fleet that you commonly see in unsecure space. Regardless, I figured this would be a good test of our new Luminar loadout, and decided to go for it. Although, I wasn't expecting what would happen next. This is where the durability of a shield-heavy Luminar build starts to become apparent. As my ship starts to take heavy fire, it withstands the damage with ease, allowing me to punch through a wave that would have sent me running in the last episode. And then suddenly, Starscape throws a wrench in my plans. That is a drone commander. I don't think I can take a drone commander in this ship. Okay, we're gonna have to be careful here. I'm gonna try and pick off the fleet from the edges and avoid the drone commander until we're one-on-one. This is the first drone destroyer we've seen so far, and it can pack a punch. Fighting this elite drone frigate was a tough one. I had to retreat more than once to recover shields and energy, as well as trying to lure it away from the drone commander, which apparently wasn't something it was keen on doing. I was getting close. With only a few ships remaining in the fleet, it was almost time for the real battle to begin. Got a little too close there. Evasive maneuvers. And with that, the drone commander was now without any escort. This was my chance. While the commander was without any escort, it was by no means defenseless. If I made any critical mistakes, I risked losing my ship and all the work I put into upgrading it. This was a fight to the death. With our victory over the drone commander, and having definitely tested the limits of my Luminar, it was time to settle back and do some resource gathering and exploration. But first, for those of you who have not seen the devblog channel on the main Starscape Discord, this is something I'm especially excited about. Seeing how much the visuals are improved here is really something. I discovered a nearby wormhole leading to an unsecure system, and decided to explore it. Some of you may recognize the name of this system, and that would be because it is one of the more dangerous systems in the game. the main choke point leading to Syndicate space. So of course, I decided to stay a while and do some mining. Hey, I never claimed to make the best decisions. I want to explain what I'm doing here because it may help some people out a little. I know that warp logging and exiting the system are both viable strategies to avoid piracy, but I have my own method I tend to use. Rather than warping out of the system at first sight of another player, I instead fly to the edge of space at whatever anomaly or planet I happen to be at, and I wait. One of two things happens. Either the player vanishes from the list, usually meaning it was another industrial ship and probably just as scared of me as I was of it, or eventually the other ship lands at your location. When this happens, you know you're being hunted. You can either wait them out, or safe log and leave the system at this point. After this player gave up on hunting me, I decided this system was no longer worth the trouble, and returned through the wormhole. After mining with the honey badger for a while, I met up with a viewer from the previous episode, Spinosaurus, and we left for Wild Space to experience some co-op PvE. After entering the next system over, I scanned down a drone presence alert at Planet 1, and we warped there, only to receive a little more help than we had earlier anticipated. Now, it is worth noting that one of the many changes made to Starscape's NPC AI in the past was the change to how NPCs prioritize their targets. In the older days of Starscape, players could easily use NPC fleets to tank for them while doing PvE like this. But this was eventually changed, with NPCs now prioritizing players as the most dangerous target, which logically makes complete sense, but can still throw me off sometimes, as you see happen here. As the fourth wave begins to approach, you can see me hesitate behind this Falcon cruiser. I know it's a bad idea to push into a wave like that, but I decide to push anyway, and I am rewarded adequately for my hastily made decisions. Well, one thing is true. Starscape is always quick to remind players of their place within the galaxy. A pilot is only sometimes lucky enough to survive such a lesson. But in our case, we begin our second life with our second clone. Lesson learned, hopefully. I decide to put my remaining drone cores on the market for sale. Even if they don't sell for full price, they'll still sell more on the player market than they will at an NPC market. And that is enough for me. Although we can't recover our lost Luminar, I do have resources refining and contested space, and I decide to return to gather them. At this point, we were quickly approaching the resources required to build an Ozark, which would be a major upgrade from our Honey Badger. So the next task I set about is gathering the remaining resources we needed. Alright, I think our Ozark is complete finally. Aha. Beautiful. This is also the first time I've flown the Ozark since the ship has been remodeled. I think it looks pretty good, honestly. We're going to switch the top one over to a tractor beam as well as the bottom one for convenience sake. This is not a ship we want to be involved in any combat with. I'll see if we can get some basic subsystems set up. Got a defense, an engine, a reactor, and one subsystem. So I'll see what we have at hand. So with our remaining resources, I've managed to get ourselves a patch of nanobots and a lightweight engine. We don't really have much else. We do have a light hull repair, but there is no need for that right now with the patcher nanobots. This is just intended to extend the amount of time that we can stay away from any sort of repair bay. With that, this ship is basically set up and ready to go for an extended mining mission. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We made some pretty good progress and have finally scored our first Corvette, the Ozark. Thank you for joining me on this one, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Till then, good luck out there, pilots.